Why would they complain for no reason? I mean, if they're lacking food, if they're lacking pleasure, if they're lacking whatever, okay, you complain about certain things, but to complain about nothing? Generally speaking, most people's complaints are about things that are not so far away from nothing. But nonetheless, here it's truly about nothing. And now we'll see a little bit more of what's behind the scenes here. But they got into the mood of rebelling, and they, because they started pitying themselves. And in essence, they wanted God to hear and be angered. And succeeded, and Rashi says, ended up paying a very heavy price. This is like a child that is seeking attention because he feels like he should get more. Everybody got a toy, and he's not happy that everybody got a toy. He wants more. Everybody's eating, but he's not getting attention. Everybody's this, and he wants more. He wants more than everybody else. He wants to be the first. She wants to be the first. So what do they do when they're not automatically the first? They start causing trouble. They flip the plate. They start yelling. They start causing other people. They start troublemakers. Why? They want attention. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't mind troublemakers when they're little children. But when they're adults and they're trying to cause, there's something behind it. There's something behind their rebellion. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them a very heavy punishment. And the question is, why were they looking for a complaint? What were they pitying themselves about? They were pitying themselves about the fact that now that they have left Mount Sinai, they now have to fulfill all of these mitzvot. You have to wake up in the morning, you have to say Modeh, you have to pray, you have to put on tefillin. Before you eat, you have to say a bracha, you have to say a bracha achona, ending blessing, you have to eat only kosher food. You have to only be with your wife for part of the month. You can't be together all the time. Even if you love your husband more than everybody else, you're still not allowed to hug him during that time that you're nidah. After the water breaks, if you're pregnant, which is the time that you feel that you need the most amount of attention, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you're not allowed to touch your husband, so the attention has to come with words and not with hugs or kisses. And all types of things. So all of a sudden, Am Yisrael realizes that his Torah is serious and it obligates them to change their day-to-day lives to the point where they have to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in mind at all times, learn Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu specifically put Am Yisrael in the desert and not in Israel right away so they can learn Torah without any distractions of trying to earn a living or anything like that. And when they complained about this, not because something was wrong, but rather because they started pitying themselves that, hey, we weren't obligated to do all these mitzvot when we were in Egypt. Maybe the slavery in Egypt was better than this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry about this and burned their leaders. He didn't burn the people that were complaining, but rather the leaders. That's what it means when it says that the fire consumed the edge of the camp. Rashi says, what does it mean, the edge of the camp? At the edge of the camp were the leaders that were put in place, that any time people were getting out of order, they were the ones that were supposed to convince people to get back into shape, to rebuke them, to tell them something. But when he saw that the leaders themselves were not saying anything, it was the same as if they were agreeing with them. It was the same as if they were doing it themselves, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the leaders. Because if the leader is not going to lead, surely the flock is a lost cause. So here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished them severely for not rebuking. This is the same thing for anybody out there that finds themselves in a keilah, you see that people are talking in the middle of prayer, or you see that they're putting a person to be a chazan when this person is not halachically permitted to be a chazan, either because his wife doesn't wear a kisui rosh, or because he shaves with a razor, or he sends his kids to public school, or he doesn't learn Torah every day. Anyone that doesn't learn Torah every single day, Shulchan Aruch paskins, you're not allowed to allow him to be chazan. He's not allowed to be a chazan. Anyone who shaves with a razor, not allowed to be a chazan. Anyone who sends his kids to public school, not allowed to be a chazan. Person doesn't learn Torah every single day, not allowed to be a chazan. His wife doesn't cover her hair, not allowed to be a chazan. Doesn't matter how good his voice is. The Gemara actually in Masechet Ta'anit says that a person that comes to become a chazan only to show off his voice is not only not bringing a blessing to the community, but is actually bringing a curse on everybody that's there. So when you see that you're in a community where they're putting anybody to be a chazan, you seriously should say something to the rabbi. Tell him, listen, this guy's not fit to be a chazan. Or you see people speaking in Chazarat HaShatz, or in the middle of prayer, in the middle of Kaddish. You have to say something to the rabbi. Tell him, listen, there's a problem. If you see that the rabbi, after you've told him a few times, not doing anything, either you say something or leave. You can't stay there and simply pretend like like nothing is wrong. You have to make sure that if you're going to go to shul, you're going to get a blessing, not a curse. But a person has to know that many times the rabbis are scared of the keilah. They're not because they don't know the truth, not because they don't want to say the truth, but they know that if they say the truth, they'll get fired, because this synagogue is not really a synagogue. It's more like it's more like corporate America, board of directors. There's 3, 4, 5 secular people, or 4 or 5 amei aratzot don't know anything. They're the ones that make the rules. So as soon as the rabbi says anything that's the truth, he knows he's going to get fired. So he can't even afford to say the truth. He figures that maybe he'll whisper it some other way. He'll teach it some other way. Hopefully save a few of them. So in essence, the keilah killed itself and killed the rabbi's ability to be a rabbi. So if you find yourself in such a shul, you have to run away as far as possible. Run away as far as possible, because a shul like this is not going to bring you any blessings. And no donation in the world is going to be a mitzvah for such a place, because it's not really a shul. Especially if they have some of these chazanim, chazanim that come there, literally they look like they're rock stars. Look like they're singers at weddings and bar mitzvahs with mixed dancing parties. A person like this is not allowed to be a chazan. So a person has to know that you have to rebuke. You have to rebuke. If you are in a position to rebuke yourself, then rebuke. But if you're not, there's a leader, there's a rabbi over there, you have to let him do it. You have to tell him to do it. Quietly, with respect, with honor, you have to be very, very respectful to Talmidei Chachamim, which BeEzrat HaShem will discuss a little bit tonight. But it's very, very important for a person to know that the mitzvah of rebuke is very dear to Hashem, so much so that in this week's parasha, Kadosh Baruch Hu killed the leaders that did not rebuke Am Yisrael. In essence, blaming them for Am Yisrael not going too far and not doing tshuva before it was too late.